Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3, a very special episode. This is the beginning of the live stream on Twitch and YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube on the episodic series later, welcome back. We haven't done too much since the beginning of the stream. I did build a bunch of tidal generators, which will hopefully get us to Mark II power. If we look at, like, power plant, we're quite close to these. In fact, you unlock them before Chemsci. And so we're going to be able to build these if we want before chemical science, though we will need mechanical parts too, and a lot of these bits and bobs to make the power plants. But I need those to make modules anyway, so we might end up, I don't know where exactly we'll put in the tier 2 power, but I was looking into some of the options for tier 2 power, and there's quite a few. First of all, the turbines are nuts. They can consume up to 600 hot steam, pressurized steam per second instead of 60. So to make a gigawatt, you only need 0.1 of these, which means one of these can make almost 10 gigawatts, which is crazy. Second thing that's crazy is the steam that you make at tier 2 is twice as hot because the molten salt is twice as hot, which is great. And you need half as much, so there's kind of a 2x efficiency going on. So in terms of, I was looking at like how much coal you need to make a certain amount of power, and you would need half as much. Not to mention, you can put modules into the buildings, and obviously the tier 2 building would be able to accept 2 modules, which would save you 60% power, which means you get 2.5 times more efficiency from that. Coupled together, that gives you a 5x efficiency boost, which means each piece of raw coal gives you 5 times more megajoules than it did in the tier 1 world. Plus you need a lot fewer buildings. This is a nat gas though. So there are different types. I was kind of looking through. You can do natural gas, refined natural gas. You can do fuel oil. You can do regular burnables. You can do biomass, like clean burnables. And so those are your 4 options for kind of how you make power. And if we wanted to kind of look equally, it would be 25. Can I do 100 divided by 3? I sure can. And then 50. And then if I go to 4, or now we can kind of see like an equivalent amount of power from each source. So, and I wouldn't use Flora. You can burn any of the clean burnings in here. I would probably use raw fiber, I think. And then it needs a tiny amount of biocrud. A pretty insignificant amount. So these are kind of the comparisons that we're looking at. And this would probably just use raw coal since it's not a very large amount. It's still like 9 raw coal. You can burn the ash, easy peasy. So really, we're picking between these options, and they all seem really good and really easy. Like the fuel oil, we don't have a recipe for it yet, but I was looking at it. We can already do this one. We can research it. You have iron-enriched moondrop flowers, which comes from seeds and methane, and then you can get the iron-enriched biomass from Nevins or Yotoi, but it's like a tiny amount of Yotoi. Look at that. For 1 gigawatt, you would need, you know, 0.3 of a building, 0.1 of a building, and then Nevins are a little bit more, but in a similar ballpark. So those are options, but that feels a little too complicated. The other way to make fuel oil, which we won't unlock until we have chemical science, but it's early on in chemical science, is this one from strip distillates, which, as you know, comes from medium distillates. So that would be a pretty easy way to get our power, is fuel oil. However, why deal with fuel oil when you can just use refined natural gas, which is already like not good for anything else, and we get it 1-to-1 from condensates. So the refined natural gas is an insanely efficient one. So that's almost certainly the one I'm gonna do. And you only need 1.68 buildings, which is half as many buildings as the coal power plants. So that makes your overall power plant size much, much smaller. I assume they're the same size. I should look into that. Gas, oil, coal, and biomass. Biomass is the next strongest one in my opinion. Like if I was tier listing these, I'd put it like It depends on which fuel oil recipe I'm using. I'll give it the strip distillates version. I would probably tier list it like this, actually. Because this still is harder to get than 9 raw coal. But this needs 3 buildings, so I'll actually put that at the bottom. Although it's going to mess up my calculation. But I would put coal at the bottom just because it needs more buildings. These two win just because you use the fewest buildings. So yeah, we're probably going to end up making like, I don't know, 5 gigawatts to start when we make this. How reasonable is that? That seems pretty reasonable. Heat exchanger Mark II gets unlocked, but I don't know how easy it is to build. It's not that bad. I mean, we're already going to have all that stuff needed for other stuff. So we might as well change that to heat exchanger Mark II. We can, that doesn't take that much power, so I could throw a couple modules in there, and I only need 2 of them, which is crazy. So, I mean, this right here is 5 gigawatts of power for just some condensates. That just feels like I'm cheating. I mean, shale, like, how much kerogen even is this? It's only 13 kerogen a second. And that's ignoring the condensates I get from all sorts of other things too, right? Like we get condensates when we process raw gas. We get condensates when we process the crude. So I'm not processing crude oil right now though. Do we not get condensates for processing? Oh, there it is, bitumen. Yeah. We don't get very much condensates from that, I will say. So there is a weird world where like I have so much stone. I don't know. There's a world where I'm going to have to set up something that mines stone just to get kerogen, just to get shale oil, just to make condensates. We're not to that world yet, but that world could exist. But yeah, this is where we're going in life. Let's just finally check how big the power plants are. I'm curious. What are they actually called? I don't know, they're right here. Okay, so there's a gas. Where'd they go? Did it change what tab we were on? Oh, they are different sizes. Biomass, coal, and oil. Interesting, the biomass is bigger than the other 3. The other 3 are the same size, but this one's bigger by 2 tiles. Huh. Weird. All right, so inserter capacity bonus 1 is finished. Our bulk inserters now have some capacity bonus. And soon we'll have the beautiful yellow-handed inserter bonus that we've wanted for oh so long. You know, now that I look at this, I realize I think we've only been doing a border of 1 tile. That looks really weird. Yeah. Yep. Oh well. Okay. What should we do? We're just kind of waiting for Nice Eye, I think. So while we wait for Nice Eye, I could start setting up the electronics Mark II. We'll do epoxy probably first. Yeah, we'll do the train redesign. I'm gonna do a good amount of that off stream or off recording. So we'll probably wait until we're done with this episode to start on any of that. For those who are watching the recording, if you really want to go see that, it will be available in the live section of my YouTube channel if you want to watch that part. But I don't think it'll be that interesting. I'm basically just going to be reworking these to have next-lit power poles. I'm still deciding on whether I want to... I'm deciding on whether I want to redo the stations to be weak side and strong side both. I might just do it to be one station and then have the belt section as a separate book where I paste the belts onto a strong side or weak side. The problem with that is the pasting won't attach. Like if I have a loader section, you know, where I'm like, oh, this is a multi-provider station, when I paste it, it won't have the loaders hooked up with circuitry to the chest, because the chests are always going to be different sizes, and I won't just be able to paste that in. So that is a little bit of a downside, where I'm like, maybe we should stick with the strong versus weak side. I'll probably add a second belt to all of my strong and weak side solids. We'll add the next-lit power poles. I'll probably make a version of this as a blueprint, because we're going to use this from time to time. By the way, the requester infinity pumps are easy. The provider infinity pumps are not so easy, because you have to essentially set up a version where, like, when a train is here, it pumps the desired fluid into the main line, which then gets pumped into the train until the train has what it wants and leaves, at which point it needs to then purge the main line of what was in it. And that gets a lot trickier. It's still not impossible. I'm just not sure if I care enough to make that when we've already got, you know, our 6 where is it? We've already got our 6 item provider, and I could even add more to this if I really wanted to. I could make this a 12 and still have no issues. So I don't know. Some of you find it more interesting than Hellmod derping. Yeah, I mean, to each their own. I do think relative to most things, it's going to be a little bit slow paced, but maybe I'll record half of it. Okay, so for the electronics, we just need to bring in epoxy. So let's get that on channel 1. That's a 20-second craft time. I'll do 4 clicks there. And we'll set up epoxy, which should just go in our random items bin. Oh yeah, we looked into this, and I'm not even sure if the collagen one is better. Hard to know, but at least for now, it's not even available. When is that version available? Oh. It's actually available very soon. I probably do need to look into that. So, what was the resorcanol? That's cheap. Well, actually, no, it's not that cheap. 5 sodium hydroxide is not that cheap. The bisphenol A, the BPA was HCl acetone, but a lot of phenol. So we're looking at like a lot of phenol versus a lot of skin. All right, it's kind of the main breakdown here that we're looking at. Plus urea. It's hard to imagine that that's going to be the better deal unless we get some other... This only has a 10% chance for collagen, so that's not... There's no other way to make collagen. It's just that simple. It's just that simple, folks. Yeah, I mean... Also this way to make phenol. Someday this might be a good way to make phenol. I don't know when we unlock that one, but... Huh. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, for now, we only have the BPA version anyway, and I think that's the cheaper version, so... So we'll get this set up. ECH, oh, right, the oleochemicals, which needs the glycerol. Right. Okay, this is a bit of a rabbit hole. Have we made glycerol yet? I don't think we have. No. I have made oleochemicals, but not glycerol. Okay. Not to worry, epoxy remains a pain. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, so glycerol. For now, this is the only way I can make it. When do I get the other ways? We already have the skin way if I research it. Collagen way is probably always terrible compared to the skin way, so I don't really understand that. Tholins to glycerol sounds great, but that's not until we have space science, which is basically once we've beaten the game. So we'll ignore that. So then which would I prefer? That one or that one? 0.5 lard and 0.025 nichrome. I want this to be 1 per second. 1 lard and a 20th of a nichrome versus 0.75 skin and 0.75 hydroxide. That seems like the better deal to me. The only thing about this one, though, is it also gives me oleochemicals. So if we think about both things that we're getting, but skin is so much easier to get than lard. This is so tricky. Could set up both and do a weird, like, when oleochemicals gets backed up at a higher priority provider, we switch over to making it the other way. That's interesting. Because what are the other ways to make oleochemicals? We're comparing these two. So you're basically using a nichrome instead of titanium to add glycerol to your outputs. And slightly more oleochemicals for the same amount of lard. So it's not a terrible deal. If you think about the opportunity cost, which is always what you should think about in Factorio, something people don't do often enough. I remember there was a big thing on the Pi Discord where the mods had to ask people to stop saying X is free, because it's like, no, nothing's free, because everything has an opportunity cost. Even if you're talking about mining a bunch of raw coal out of the ground, which is in a lot of ways free, it has an opportunity cost. You have to set it up, you have to make the miners, like, you're always doing something instead of something else. So here, talking about the opportunity cost, right now, this is how I am making oleochemicals. So whenever we do this version, what we're essentially doing is we're spending like nichrome to get glycerol. That's it. The lard is essentially free because I was going to use the lard to make oleochemicals anyway. Now that's assuming I'm using oleochemicals more than the glycerol in this equation. And so in that sense, we're essentially just purchasing our glycerol at the cost of nichrome. And it even gives us a byproduct savings of titanium. It's not a bad deal, 1 nichrome for 150 glycerol, so I think that's what I'm going to do. And I might actually add this into the glycerol factory as well, where if oleochemicals are backed up at a high priority provider, we can always just make some from skin and hydroxide steam to kind of support that. So what I'll do is I'll do 50% here, or wait, what's the right way to do this? I want this. I don't know if we actually can do it that way. We also need to look into if we need ECH for anything else. Oh, we did look into this. It's not for a long time. I'm gonna ignore that. For now, this is all ECH is used for. Okay. Which means it might as well go in the same plant, unless BPA Oreo chemicals. What's up, Mello? How's it going? Where's BPA factor into all this? That it's all it's good for. All right, that's what I like to see. So then we can make all this in one spot. No, glycerol. Is glycerol used anywhere else? Hey, Stone Goats. Good to see you. Yeah, glycerol is used in other places, so we can make it in the same thing, but we'll put glycerol on chains, most likely. Okay, and then the phenol is currently not being made. Eventually we will make it with the cumene way, but that requires chemical science. At least I think I'm gonna make it that way. It's very possible that this lignin method, which I keep wanting to call the ligma method as a joke, it's very possible that this gets better with modules, because we can put prod into all that. With modules and beacons, this might get a lot stronger, and it might be competitive. Productivity incentive for the collagen method. Good question. They both have productivity, so not really. You can productivity on the collagen step, but I still don't think it's saving you much. Because it's still 10 skin for 4 collagen. And yeah, it's just worse. Like, I can't ever understand why you would use this recipe. Unless somehow collagen was a byproduct of something, but we would have seen that by now when we were looking into collagen page. So I'm pretty confused by this recipe. It seems utter trash to me. I don't understand it. Because even with 2 times productivity, you're still using more skin. Not to mention these other ingredients. And sodium hydroxide's close to free comparatively, so I don't get that one. That one just seems bad. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna have to do this, which is just wood and hydroxide, for now. We'll underproduce that because we can request the phenol in larger amounts later. And realistically, how much am I spending here? 0.334 probably at the most. So in that case, this should be fine, and I can make like 2 of these trios. We already have that trio from the other thing we set up, and I can just copy that. Okay, so let's get going on this. Where do we want to put it? Let's go. Yeah, why not over here? Let's put it in the molybdenum block. Seems reasonable enough. And get rid of these trees. And these ones. Ooh, I actually used up all my titles. Wonder what we're currently lacking. By the way, I have it loosely in my plans to do another stream at some point that is dedicated to the auto mall. I want to make an auto mall guide. The video will eventually be titled something like how to make an auto mall in Factorio. And it'll be more focused on my creation process of this and what each combinator's doing and why. So it will equip you with kind of a little bit of the learning and understanding that could help you make your own auto mall that works better than mine, does different things than mine, rather than just giving you a blueprint to copy paste. Though of course I'll provide the blueprint too. The problem is I can't just use this one, because this one is going to be bad for that video for 2 reasons. First of all, it uses Bob's adjustables, so I'd have to rearrange things because 90-degree inserters won't exist in vanilla Factorio. And the second thing is it's set up with logistic network channels, which obviously I don't want because most people are not playing with that mod. Again, if I'm making a general video that's like, how do you make an auto mall? It shouldn't include some weird mod. So I'm gonna have to slightly redesign the whole thing. I'm gonna have to reinvestigate how the stupid thing even works because I barely remember. Like, I look at this and I'm like, oh yeah, like, I recognize some of these things. I don't remember what the heck this is all doing. It's very chaotic. So I'm gonna have to relook into all that and reteach myself. So that'll be a whole stream. We'll basically relearn and remake the auto mall together on stream. I'll probably work with, you know, I mean, Twitch chat will be helpful, but I'll kind of be figuring out like how do I want to structure the guide video, and then I'll actually do the recording of the stuff, and then I'll edit some of that to make the YouTube version of it. Anyway, back to title generators. Why are we not getting titles? We're out of utility boxes because we're out of copper plates. Now that's not on my bingo card. Is it just the amount here isn't big enough? I'm gonna go up to 30 stacks. Because we added another... Uh-oh. Oh, well, I figured out what's wrong. I don't know why it's wrong, though. Oh, I'm out of borax? Oh, I'm out of borax. Okay. Fair enough. Oh, I broke something with all of this building up here. How did I break it? What broke? Oh, the bots never got here. Wait, why did the bots never get here? There's a missing link. All right, I'm gonna go fix that manually. Yeah, so combinators have the ability to write text into them, so I can just comment my combinators, which I will when I make the version that's designed for the video. And yeah, you can, rather than text plates, I think text plates are a little tricky. I think I'd rather use the, what are these called? The display panels if you want to see something in map view like that. But I would only need that if I had a huge computery thing of combinators. For this, it's too packed in and small to use display panels or text plates to describe things. I think I do just need to comment the combinators individually. Okay, we're gonna get this built ASAP because our whole base breaks without borax. Like quite literally. Without borax, we're not getting iron plates, we're not getting any of the plates, and lots of things in my base use plates as an additional part of the recipe, so this was a problematic issue. Is that a fish that I just picked up? Okay. That should do it. Well, hopefully that doesn't break things too bad. That's pretty bad. We haven't gotten borax for an hour and a half. It's definitely not good. But at least it'll catch up now eventually. But, I mean, we're completely out of copper, and we have been for a while. Oh god, that's really scary. Does Nisai need borax? I don't think so. I think Nisai might be okay. Yeah, that's still humming along. It does need nickel, and I think the nickel needs borax, but a lot less. Yeah, I mean, we just haven't run out of our buffer yet, so... The Nisai is at 853. We're almost there. Once it's at 1,000, it'll do its first trip. Okay, well that's fixed. Still can't believe I did that. Can't believe you've done this. When do we get the next mining prod? I should probably type a different word. Mining. It's after mining machines in Kimsai. And we get another 10%. It's not bad. You know, it's not the hugest deal, but it saves on all the input resources, and the main thing is that it just gets me more output per building. So the same patch of ore can give me more per second. Modules will be the bigger change for that, though, I will say. Modules will revolutionize everything. Oh no, the red dot. I was testing. Okay, so yesterday, I gotta come clean. Yesterday, I spent pretty much my whole day testing train braking distance calculations. Like, I was in Desmos graphing, I was doing differential equations, I was looking at the wiki, trying to figure out how the game code applies the braking force to answer the question, how good are the Pokeball upgrades? So, because I'm like, how good actually are these? Do they actually help you that much? Because when we do both of these together, we'll have 25% more braking force. It sounds pretty good when you think about it on paper. You're like, yeah, if you can come to a stop 25% faster, like that saves you a lot of time every time you have to stop. That's what you think, until you realize if you're coming to a red light, you're restricted by when the light turns green, not by how fast you can brake. Most of the time. If the light turns green while you're slowing down, then having a better braking force will mean that you are slightly closer to and at a faster speed to the red light when it turns green, which means as soon as it turns green and you hit the gas again, you're already going a little bit faster and you're already a little bit closer. So then you'll get to your final destination a little bit sooner. But how often is that actually happening? Like, if you think about the ratio, you know, like, let's take a busy intersection, which is normally this one. I don't know where all the trains are right now. It's because we have no borax. Nothing's getting produced. I was about to say our science is going to turn off soon, and there we go. Gosh, that's so scary to not see trains flying around. But anyway, like, most of the time when a train has to, you know, come to a stop, it ends up coming to a full stop, at which point the braking force hadn't helped. That being said, that might not be true. It's like, it's really hard to test without more experimental data. And to get that, I don't even know how you'd get that data. You would need CyberSyn to somehow, like, hand you a readout of average train trip length. Because I don't know if you can get that from circuitry. I don't know how you would do that. You'd have to have like crazy computery stuff built into your train system from the beginning to be able to get that, I think. You could, you know, you could have a signal that's sent when a train leaves, and then the other stations are waiting to read when the train arrives and all that sort of stuff. But otherwise, it's not really possible. So all that to be said, I don't know how you'd measure that very well, but essentially what I can do is with my math stuff, which I plan to do a little bit more work on at some point, you could figure out, like, okay, what if 10% of the way along the train's braking path the light turned green? How much sooner would it get to its destination? What about 20%? What about 30%? And I can then make a table of all that. Because if it's 100% and the train was coming to a stop anyway at a red light, then the braking force was irrelevant. And if it's 0% and the light was green, then of course braking force is irrelevant again. So in those cases, which is a lot of cases, the only time the braking force comes into play is twice. It's right now. It'll get to the loading station slightly sooner, and then it's when it gets to its destination. It'll get to its destination slightly sooner. And when I say slightly, I mean like 0.2 seconds. Or was it 0.4 seconds? I think it was 0.4 seconds for a 1-1 train. And so that adds up to 0.8 seconds per round trip. At a minimum, you do get at least that much no matter what. Though that's not true because it depends on how fast it was going before it gets to the stop. Like if it had stopped here, it won't be up to full speed when it then gets here to stop. And if it's not going full speed, the braking force bonus doesn't matter as much. So you end up with a lot of weird, like, the time save. Oh, this orthogonal piece. Yeah, you're right about that, Dave. I don't think it matters. because that's broken into a separate section, but it is. It's just from when I paste these things. Boop. Anyway, all that to say, even if you saved a full second per trip, which you might not, then that would only save you, you know, let's say it's a 2-minute round trip on average, that's only saving you 1/120th. So that makes your train system 1% more efficient. In a good case scenario. And that's just not very much, right? Like, you're much better off doing almost anything else to your train system. Anything else that's an upgrade would be better than 1% of an upgrade. So all that to say, braking force kind of sucks. It sucks more than you think it does, is kind of my summary. All right, what was I in the middle of doing? I don't know. Oh no. I guess I was just beginning work on this. If you brake faster, you can clear the previous section faster when stopping at a light. Not really. Again, only if the train was partway through braking is that possible. And so that's only going to happen some of the time. And even though it clears the section faster, you can kind of consider red lights as being randomly distributed, and it just moves the red light that it creates slightly forwards. I guess because it's going faster when it hits the acceleration, it cuts the red light time slightly shorter. So yeah, there's lots of tiny efficiency boosts, but they're so tiny, I still don't think they add up to much. It's not like they're multiplying by each other. So I think your overall efficiency boost is still going to be on the order of 1 to 2%. Like 2% would be, I think, more than best case scenario. I would actually estimate it's less than 1%. Okay, so we need to import... We are making acetone, I think. So we'll import acetone and HCl. And then for solids, we need nichrome, iron, hydroxide, and wood. Okay. So we need one more here. We need the quest station. Or HCl. Wish I could type HCl. You know what I wish? You know how in like Microsoft Word you can make your own like dictionary of like auto replace or fast replace or quick replace or whatever it's called. It would be cool if you could make a library of synonyms in your own Factorio game, where if I type HCl, I can tell it that when I type HCl, what I mean is, you know, the full word hydrogen chloride, and it would like see it as the same thing. Basically, if you could have nicknames in the search. That would be cool. Acetone. How much do I need? I'm going to start with 35K. Yeah, 600 a minute. That's plenty. There is probably an OS level thing, but I wouldn't want it to be an OS level thing. Let's see, fluid request. 1, 2, we got 5 solids, but 2 of them are going to be smaller. Probably still need a bigger chest here. Definitely will need a station control. Getting faster at that. So for nichrome, we're going to do like what, 4 stacks? For lard, if I do 10 stacks at a time, how many minutes is that? Yeah, that's only like 15 minutes of production, which would give me 10 stacks of epoxy. So that's about right. Oh, Derpamu made a mod. Cool. Colloquial names. I like that. And we're gonna have to measure some things here to determine whether we create. That's not the right kind of collimator. This will make the lard request. if certain things are true, which would be epoxy less than a certain amount. I don't know, 2,500 or something, and then we'll make sure that the other ingredients are available. Which is a little tricky because that means I have to measure acetone. I guess I could just measure BPA, hydroxide, iron plate. This is confusing. Oleochemicals. I just don't want it to request... no, I guess if it requests lard, as long as I have enough storage space, it'll always get processed. I guess we just need to see if we have nichrome. That's all. In fact, if I let glycerol buffer... No, we don't want to do it that way. Because then we end up not consuming the lard. So what I need to do is read the buffer size of glycerol. That's what we do. And if it's above a certain amount, we stop requesting lard. And then from there, I don't need to worry about it. Or maybe I'll just read the amount of ECH. One of those two, something like that. So here, I don't care about how much epoxy we have. I care about how much ECH we have. Yeah, and we'll figure out the number later. And Mr. Mello, we will get your name in game, don't worry. Hey, John Meinl, welcome. Yes, we are getting so close to red circuits. In fact, we might be ready for it. Are we ready for the big ripcord? We might be. Let me check on borax again, make sure that that's still in its thing. I wonder how long it's going to take for that to catch up. I'm very scared about that. Because I might not be making enough borax, period. Like, I don't really know. It seems like it was keeping up. But only time will tell. Our average has been 577. And it looks like we can produce up to 1,000. So I think we'll be okay. It's making about twice the rate that we need. But given we spent an hour without it, that means it's going to take an hour to catch up. Okay, where are red circuits? Oh, there. Again, with these icons not being very visible from a zoomed out view. It feels like my only option is to use like ASCII art or something to make a giant icon, but even that's not visible if you put buildings over it. So there's really no options for like a big tag. That just feels so weird to me. It's like, why can we not make a big tag in Factorio? There's nothing that gives you any sort of resolution on this level of zoom out other than the text, which also feels like it gets lost in all of the visual noise of tracks and buildings and pipes and everything. So yeah, I don't know. A specific complaint, but a complaint nonetheless. A welcome one, to be sure. Still no nice eye. You can't scale the tags. There's a number, but that's for snapping, which feels like, I guess if you wanted all your tags to be in a grid, that's what that's good for. I've never cared once to change the snapping on those things. Let's see. Nice eye's got to be very close, right? Yeah, no, it's literally arriving like right now. It's already arrived. Wait, what's going on? Why is this? What's happening? Ah, we're just not loading the nice eye. Oh, easy. I don't think I need 100. All right, and then I need a fast inserter here, and that, my friends, will be our first red circuit. Yay! Also, welcome Matthew from the YouTube end of things. You could use the signal green tag. I guess you could use the different colors as pixel art. That's actually a hilarious idea. And with snapping, it would let you arrange them in a perfect grid. Oh yeah, Marky Mark. You let microfiber go empty, which caused filtration media to shut down. Filtration media, it's already a component in a lot of important things, and that only gets more true the further the game goes. I've seen a lot of recipes that bring in filtration media at like the second tier of something or whatever. So yeah, no filtration media is pretty high on the list of no-nos. No filtration media is really bad. Something like no moss or no, you know, fiber or no wood would be really bad. No hydroxide, that's an ingredient in a lot of things these days. Batteries, circuits, obviously also on that list. Yeah, I mean, we are literally going to make red circuits as soon as this inserter gets here. Which is right here. Here we go. Wait for it to load up all the stuff. It's going to take a second. Oh yeah. Gimme, gimme, gimme. It's running! The overly noisy, annoying chip shooter machine. Woohoo! Red circuits, 304 hours. Wait, it only makes 2 at a time. What? Oh, right. I'm providing some. Okay, I was like, what's going on there? I'm scared. And then I thought for a second that the inserters were stacking, which also had me very confused. Because I'm like, they don't do that. So, all right. Wow. Wow. Cool. We're making red circuits. It's just gonna keep happening. Screenshot noise. All the bots are in the way. That's fine. How are the bots doing, by the way? Not good. I'm curious if that'll catch up or not. Huh. Alright, well, we've got red circuits. Is there anything I can do with them, like in the immediate, very immediate sense? I don't think so. Oh, I can make Navins. And Navins Codex. Which is necessary for Sam, which is necessary for basically everything tier 2 and Kim. But apart from that, everything else requires additional steps. Yeah, I think I need more logistics bots, actually. Let me go add a few more. I'll trickle them in. I'll start with 25 more. Even at my Zen pace, I beat you by over 200 hours. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've definitely rushed a little more than I think maybe I should have sometimes. As much as I've tried to do Zen, I don't know if I've been 100% successful. Yeah, exactly, preschool. It's like, I'm doing a lot of progress still, and like, I've definitely taken detours that I wouldn't have taken without the Zen Garden mentality. But I still am kind of like, oh, I'll do it this easier way because that'll get me to where I want to be sooner. I'm not like, oh, let's build this fiber build to be 3 belts worth of fiber because I'll need that eventually. Some of that, though, is just knowing that I'll get a better recipe later and trying to balance that out. And some of it is also just trying to rush a little bit. So, like, if you compare my content from years ago to now, this is very Zen guarded. Like, for me, this is very Zen guarded. In grand total, though, I just put those in line. In grand total, it's still not perfectly Zen. What is going on? Somehow I keep adding it to the wrong one. Twice. There we go. Okay, but you know, now that I'm looking at this, we might not need more? What's going on? Is this inserter not able to keep up? You know what, that might actually be the problem. Not that this is supposed to run constantly anyway. Because I cannot afford one red circuit per second. Nowhere near that. But yeah, okay, that's good. Alright, so back to a little bit of work on the epoxy front. Let's do the regular request. So for wood, I just do 25. Hydroxide, 25. Iron plate, 25. Nichrome, we said 4. Even 4 feels like too much. It's 2 hours worth of production. I'm just gonna do 3 stacks. That's already got the acetone and HCl. Am I missing anything? The skin for backup glycerol production. I do need a high priority F provider for oleochemicals. Text plate, and then I'm gonna do something that helps me remember this. Oh, I remember that's a high priority. Alright. Gotta craft a few of those. No, not concrete. Do iron. Which one did I actually build, though? Did I build concrete or iron? Oh, I did build concrete. That's funny. Alright, let's try that again. High priority. No, just a 5 is fine. Because this isn't byproduct oleochemicals, right? Like, this is... I mean, it kind of is, but it's not, right? Like, it's weird. Because actual byproduct oleochemicals, I'd still want to use before this recipe. But this is... If I'm making glycerol this way, it's cheaper if I need the glycerol and the oleochemicals. If I'm just making oleochemicals, I probably would make it the other way. Although, I'm not actually convinced. Nichrome is cheap enough that I'm thinking that the nichrome might be worth the lard savings. In which case, glycerol becomes a byproduct because you get more oleochemicals anyway. I don't know. You're essentially spending nickel and chromium instead of a small amount of titanium. So if you cancel that out, it's not that big of a cost to get 50 more oleochemicals, which means you're spending less lard for the same amount of oleochemicals. So if you think about, like, whatever the ratio of 250 to 300 is, and then that times 20 lard, you're only spending 16.6 lard instead of 20 lard to get the same amount of oleochemicals. So if you think about it that way, you're spending 1 nichrome to save 2 titanium and 3 lard. And when you think about it that way, it's not that bad. What's up, Michael Stokes? Welcome, welcome. And yeah, name in game, Stualek. We'll get you here in a minute once we're done with the recording. This is Oleochem from Epoxy. Okay. For now, we'll just have that requesting the lard. And then that goes into... Why is this Harry Potter themed? Nice. All right, that goes into FTS reactor. Provides everything we need for a couple mixers, which also have no solids in them. With ECH. Then we get 5 of these guys. If I build out here. And a few of these. Okay. Then I need to copy the lignin setup, which is this. Oh, look. You know how I thought I'd never get biocrud? I screwed something up. What possessed me to think that this would work? Wait, no, something else is wrong. These aren't filtered. Okay. Wait, but I still might have done something wrong. Hold on. Let's not give Krydex a free pass yet. Because I'm still not actually convinced this is going to do what I want it to do. So what's up with this splitter? Right? Oh, no, I remember. It's cutting off the measurement. So... we're only inserting to make cellulose, to make lignin, to make phenol, if we have sufficient hydroxide. Why? Why did I do it that way? Why does that even matter? Oh, because if we have sufficient hydroxide, that guarantees the cellulose will get combined into lignin, which then guarantees the phenol. What I failed to do, first of all, was filter the output inserters, and what I also failed to do was not make it if we have enough bakelite. Like, we're not restricting... the production of cellulose based on bakelite. And when we stop producing cellulose, that will probably guarantee some amount of biocrud, because the numbers aren't all going to work out right. So yeah, some amount of biocrud is inevitable when it turns off, but I'm not turning it off in the first place. So we need to connect these guys up to... or do I just say if I have enough phenol supply? Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I only run the buildings if phenol is below a certain amount. And that kind of guarantees everything's fine. Okay, so yeah, we have 174. So when the phenol finally drops below 100 on the belt, then we start running these again. Okay, but unfortunately I have to go manually fix it. And then we'll probably call it a YouTube episode there, because we are at an hour somehow. I don't know where that hour went. Time really does fly. Where was this? Right here. Still missing that tidal plant. Oh gosh. Is copper at least running again? Nope. Borax still okay. Borax is still running at least. It's just only a small amount of it is making it to the train station. Yikes. Okay, I think we're okay now. We ended up with a healthy amount of biocrud, which I will put in a provider chest in case bots ever want some biocrud. The steel chest will fill up, but it's going to take an absurd amount of time. This is all temporary because we're going to make phenol and bring it in on trains, so this whole thing is temporary. Eventually I'm going to transition to making phenol with cumene. I think, is that actually better? Like, now that I'm looking at it, I was like, is that actually affordable? 10 cumene per. So 100 medium distillates gets me 20 phenol. Yeah, that still feels cheaper. Yeah, temporary in quotes. It actually is temporary because we have a specific recipe that will replace this. I don't know how long it'll take us to get to that, but that is the plan, and I will do that at some point. So I'm not too worried about that one being a fake temporary. Because phenol gets used for a lot of things, so we really need to redo that at some point. Okay, so red circuits are done because they're out of toroidal inductors. That's out of tin cable, which is probably a copper issue. Tin issue, basically the same though. And the tin issue is because we're out of tin. And we're out of tin because we're not anymore. It's working. Okay, consumption has been on the order of 130. We're not producing that much more than 130 though. Is it actually graphite that's holding us back? Could be. I could always ship in graphite. Usually. Oh wait, I screwed this up. It's supposed to have 2 inserters. I guess that's gonna make a slight difference. Yeah, I don't remember my specifications for this thing. Probably was this. And that's only 400 a minute. Still though, I should be getting 400 a minute. 0.143, so it's probably gonna be more like 350 a minute. Take off that extra graphite. But why am I not getting... Those make 4. PRCE, we're getting 1.6 graphite only. Okay, that's probably 1.6 0.6 out of 2143. It's about 3/4, which we should see about 310 plates a minute. Huh. Hopefully this goes up a little bit with that change I made. 200's not very good. Yeah, I've been decent about replacing temporary setups. The bigger issue is not so much the unwillingness to replace them, it's the forgetting what was temporary. And once I unlock the thing that allows me to replace it, I have no notes. I need to keep better notes on it and actually remind myself, like, oh, I need to replace this when the time comes. Because there's lots of things I said I would replace and I just don't remember that I was supposed to replace it. So my recommendation to my future self and all of you is keep notes on that crap. Have I already unlocked a better 10, or is this the best I can do? It's actually the best I can do right now. So Kimsai. And it's a few into Kimsai too. It's not the beginning of Kimsai. So the best thing I can do for this would be to do this. I got so lucky right now. Boom. Now we're gonna have enough graphite. Easy. It's really funny. Wait, what are the... That's iron sticks. That looks a lot like graphite. That's really funny. Okay, just kidding. We don't have graphite. I could request graphite though, pretty easily. Am I not already doing that though? I'm literally making graphite like in all these separate places. I guess we only need it in some of them. But like lead needs it, aluminum needs it. Huh. Okay, so let's do 95 stacks, 144. We got plenty of stacks. Graphite. Doubt I'll need more than half, and by the time I do, I can use red belts. Alright. And I kind of like that because then we're prioritizing graphite from the base instead of this weird raw coal make it on site thing. This isn't a terrible method to make graphite on site from raw coal. Especially once the buildings are Mark II and have modules and stuff, it'll be a little denser, so I don't know, it's not too bad. Sandor, good question. Possibility to request globally what's in a blueprint. Unfortunately, no. The game doesn't have a way to tell you what's needed and missing the material for construction. There's no way to read that signal. Feels like a really big oversight, personally, in my opinion, from the Factorio team to not be able to read. You can literally see it in a tooltip, flashing on your map, and there's no way to read that signal from a RoboPort. You can read the logistic network requests, and that'll be unsatisfied logistics. I don't know why there's not read construction network requests, which says unsatisfied construction network. Part of it could be that there's some other issues that cause these to be wrong sometimes. But yeah, not being able to read that is pretty frustrating for Space Age in particular, because you can't have planets request what they need for construction. You can only just buffer. And the problem is with the timing of everything, like let's say you have a ship that only stops by, you know, Vulcanus every 30 minutes, you don't want, you actually need to buffer a lot of buildings, because it's not like you want the ship to have to come by 10 times over the course of 300 minutes to get enough of the buildings. And so instead you just have to buffer pretty large quantities of everything you might want to build on every planet. Very frustrating design choice, in my opinion. Not being able to read how much you need. I think there is a mod that does it, but there's no way to do it in vanilla Factorio. Preschool girl, that's not really true, because you'd need to have an auto mall first. And I mean, it's not really that different than an auto mall. It just allows you to produce on demand rather than produce before demand, is the only difference. Rygard! Okay, Rygard, I am very glad to see you. My immediate response was to try to shower you with recipe book comments, but I won't do that unless you want me to. I'll only do that if you ask me to. There are a couple things it can't do, but I don't wanna shower you with that. Okay, but you said feel free, so I mean, while we've got you, there's the one comment I made a long time ago. This one's less of a big deal, which is just that when the recipe for the baseline view of an item, like let's find an item that can be produced multiple ways, like this one. If it's red, aka it doesn't exist, like in this buildup of pie, it won't show up as being unavailable in recipe book. So recipe book kind of makes you think, oh, I can use this recipe, but it doesn't actually allow you to. And FNEI would show that. Do you guys remember the item in question? Was it, oh, shoot. What was the item that I ran into where this was a problem? There's like a 5% chance I remember this. Yeah, basically the item's hidden, but the recipe's not. It shows up here as being available. You think that this recipe's fine, but it's not. Similarly, another issue with this particular page is if productivity is allowed, it doesn't show it anywhere here. And so the only way I can find out if productivity is allowed in this recipe is actually using FNEI and going for air core inductors, clicking on this, and then I go up here, and I can see up here if productivity is allowed. Because if productivity is allowed, recipe book does not show you on this page that it is. So that was thing number 2. And finally, thing number 3 was a small quality of life request, which was just if I type copper here, excuse me, I'd like all of these to be merged into one mega tab and just have everything right here that fits my search. Rather than having to select the tab to find the thing, I'd rather have it all just in one mega tab. And that's just a quality of life thing. Those were, 2 of those were from before. One of them is new, and I actually think the new one of not showing productivity allowed is actually maybe the biggest issue, because it's actually significantly annoying because it's like, well, wait, how do I know if this allows productivity? Like, I actually have to go find the recipe in FNEI or go into the technology view to do that. Does Factoriopedia show it? That's a good question. Let's find a good example. I think the electric engines are a good example. Because I think these do allow productivity. So, how do I even open Factoriopedia again? I've forgotten how. Now that we have recipe book. Okay, I'll do it that way. Yeah, it does show it at the top there. Whereas in recipe book, it does not. So, yeah, that's that one. But yeah, sorry to pepper you. You did say feel free. I was okay not peppering you. I could have made a GitHub report with those. But anyway, thank you for listening. Okay, what were we in the middle of doing? We were watching our base slowly come to a screeching halt because of no borax. Is that still the case? This still hasn't fired up yet. Maybe we should be okay. I guess one thing I can do is just make more. We're not making 15 a second. Wait, what's going on here? This says we should be getting 17, but the belt's not full. Oh, that's because we have Diberain as part of the output. Oh, okay. Well, why don't we fit in a little bit more here? I can. And throw a roboport right there. And then we can attach the water. Let's see. That's T-junction. Obviously, recipe book is perfect with no flaws. It's pretty close. It's been doing a lot of what I need it to do, but yeah, there've been a few small little things. I guess this whole belt is gonna have to get routed here, and then this is gonna get merged with this, and then merged with that. That should result in a pretty full belt. Can I do anything else here? Just looking for errors. Oh yeah, the muddy water, as it's called. This way. Pretty sure those are already attached, yeah, so that should work. Okay. I think that's good. I guess the final question is, do I have enough water? I'll just assume I do. Maybe that's a bad assumption, because those do actually use a decent amount of water. So why don't, just for safety purposes, we throw in an additional water pump somewhere. Fits. Let's just do that. And then a T-junction. Rotated properly. Okay, cool. All right, well, we're gonna keep streaming pretty much all day if I can, but we are gonna call it a YouTube episode there, because we're at 1 hour and 17 minutes. So, I do maybe want to answer these questions, though, if people on YouTube were curious what my answers were. So I'll answer these Twitch and YouTube comments, and then we will be done with the episode. Having made our first red circuits, almost have a full stack of them now. I mean, we do have a full stack if we add it together. But yeah, that's beautiful. We have 300 already. So, Tanith, what advice would I have for someone who's just starting Pi alternative energy? Namely, is it a waste of time to try to beeline it to electric crafters? Electric crafters aren't very good. So yeah, that's a waste of time, because I hate to disappoint you. This is one thing in Pi that I actually think should be rebalanced, but the automated factories are gigantic. Absolutely gigantic. Look at how big they are compared to this little assembler. They're more than 4 times as big. And they craft slower than a tier 2 assembler, and the tier 2 assemblers, regular ones, are actually pretty cheap still. So they're only good when they're needed, is my answer to that. They do get modules and stuff later, but they're just not very good in a general sense, and it's easier to just bring fuel to the burner assemblers, in my opinion. Yeah, once you have prod modulable things, that starts to change the equation. But until then, which is many hundreds of hours, there's nothing. Was it Fuwoji? So Fuwoji in recipe book. No, I don't think it's this one. This is the real recipe, I think. Right? Or is it not? No, it's not. Yeah, this is the bad one. That's exactly right. This is the bad one. Let's see FNEI here. So in FNEI, you can see here, yeah, this recipe it's not unlocked by anything. It doesn't exist. But this is the one that recipe book defaults to. So yeah. Okay, well, Vatamouse, I would suggest trying Recipe Book if you're playing modded, just because of the way that it does quite a few things. I think it's a bit better, but if you're playing unmodded, Factoriopedia is fine. Are you supposed to deal with the ash? Yeah, this is how. You just put it in a big pile of deposits, call it a day. And in the very early game, yes, this is what I did. This is what you do with ash, early game pyanodons. I think it's actually a clever design. As much as this doesn't feel like peak gameplay, I don't think it's a terrible game design choice, because it gives you a little bit of a taste of what some of pyanodons feels like. Not all of pyanodons is like this, but there are times where you need to make 40 buildings. And that's not as common in other mod packs and overhauls. And so showing the player, like, sometimes you do just literally need a giant row of something, is kind of a good taste of, like, here's what sometimes you have to do in the mod pack. And if you hate doing this, you might not like Pi, because this does show up sometimes. It's not all the time, but sometimes you gotta make just a giant stack of something. And so that's, you know, if we look at our base, like, there are some giant stacks of things like moss. Not everything looks like that, but some do. Anyway, I really need to call it an episode. I'm going to keep streaming, and I'll start the next episode right after this. So for those of you from the future recorded version of YouTube, thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.